We're witnessing the most satisfying political meltdown of 2025 after 43 days of not only the longest government shutdown in American history, but indeed the most pointless and nonsensical shutdown in history. It all ended with a spectacular signing ceremony that forced the likes of MSNBC and CNN to broadcast one of the most vicious takedowns of the Democrats imaginable. Make sure to stick with me to the very end of this video, because this wasn't just any ending to a shutdown. This was a complete and total humiliation for Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, one that they're already desperately trying to deflect, and even that desperation is already blowing up in their face. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of the madness as the far left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age that you're making happen all over the world. So if you want a front row seat on how you're changing the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. As I'm sure you all know by now, President Trump, flanked by Republican congressmen in the Oval Office, held a signing ceremony last night to officially end what was without question one of the biggest political miscalculations and blunders ever by the Democrats, the disastrous Schumer shutdown. And to add insult to injury, both MSNBC and CNN were forced to broadcast this.
Over the past 7 weeks, the Democrats' shutdown has inflicted massive harm. They caused 20,000 flights to be canceled or delayed. They departed so many times, so late. People were hurt so badly. Nobody's ever seen anything like this one. This was a no-brainer. This was an easy extension. But they didn't want to do it the easy way. They had to do it the hard way. And they look very bad, the Democrats do. They deprived more than 1 million government workers from their paychecks and cut off food stamp benefits for millions and millions more Americans in need. They caused tens of thousands of federal contractors and small businesses to go unpaid. And the total effect of the damage their antics cause will take weeks and probably months to really calculate accurately, including the serious harm that they did to our economy and to people and to families. So I just want to tell the American people, you should not forget this. When we come up to midterms and other things, don't forget what they've done to our country. I also want to call for a termination to the filibuster so that this can never happen again.
Now, the public humiliation began even before the historic Oval Office signing of the bill to reopen the government, despite the fact that Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries openly boasted that not a single Democrat would vote along with the Republicans in the House. He thought he had all his soldiers in line. Again, in yet another act of public humiliation, 6 Democrats broke ranks and voted with the Republicans. And CNN had no choice but to announce it.
Kentucky, Greg Steube of Florida, the Democratic yes votes, Jared Golden of Maine, Adam Gray of California, Marie Glusenkamp-Perez of Washington State, Don Davis of North Carolina, Henry Cuellar of Texas, and Tom Suozzi, who's a New York Democrat as well. So some of the more moderate, some of the more swingy district Democrats breaking ranks with their party leadership, which was fighting very hard, whipping their members to vote against it. But a handful of them broke ranks, joined with the Republicans, and now this bill is on set to passage, and federal workers can probably go bid.
Needless to say, there are already calls to have each and every one of those 6, along with the 8 Democrats in the Senate, primaried, defeated, and excommunicated from their party. But it's too late. The damage has already been done. The Democrats were completely defeated in all of this. And both MSNBC and CNN have routinely had to admit that. Here's the old Chris Matthews on MSNBC pointing out that the Democrats have completely lost touch with the working class voter.
Exactly. So how does the Democratic Party, which is trying to talk to working class people again, but are all, highly educated and they live in urban places. How do they bridge that divide like he did?
Can I answer that question?
Yeah, of course you can.
It's a tough question.
This is my show.
I don't know the whole answer. Josh Shapiro said, all right, we're going to stop this a little bit. We're going to get rid of the law that you have to be some college graduate to get a job in the state government. Pennsylvania doesn't have that law anymore. That's the first step you can make and say, we're all running for office. We're all seeking office here. It isn't just for college grads. And I think there's a lot to that, the town versus gown Town versus gown has gotten to be political. The people that didn't get a college are voting for Trump. Why? Because of snobbery and attitude. As we say in Philly,
what do you think?
Attitude.
Yeah, good luck with those gimmicks. I mean, not only had the Democrats lost touch with the working class, but then they add insult to injury by turning around and cutting off SNAP benefits for tens of millions of working families who need that assistance. Also, they could get tax-funded health care for illegals. And you know it's bad when the gaslighting begins, and CNN's Scott Jennings wasn't having any of it.
I know a lot of Republicans. I know a lot of Democrats. They're cut from different cloths. Democrats simply don't have the cold-heartedness necessary to see people suffering and just say, let them eat cake.
Yeah, but then
they are not the types that
they
voted
repeatedly to do it. I mean, you just heard Democrats.
And what was Donald Trump doing in the meantime?
He doesn't have a vote in the legislature.
No, he's the president of the United States, the most powerful president with Republicans in my lifetime, Scott. He never once even told them, come back to Washington.
We just played
Democrat. You guys have been out of Washington for a month and a half.
Correct.
A month and a half.
We just played Democrat after Democrat admit that the Democratic plan to prolong the shutdown was causing, quote, suffering. That was their words, not mine. Democrats themselves realized the tactic of suffering was no longer something they could personally stomach. That was their party, not Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is so patently absurd. It was the Democrats who shut down the government. It was the Democrats who caused all this pain and suffering. This is what every single left-wing freak who's wailing and gnashing their teeth over the 8 Democrats who broke ranks to end the shutdown are inadvertently admitting. They are admitting that the government shutdown ended when the Democrats folded. It's the Democrats caving. It's the Democrats surrendering that ended the shutdown. They were the ones shutting it down. Again, we talked about this yesterday, but I think it's so instructive here. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman was on an NPR podcast, and he was asked about the problem that with the shutdown ending. Okay, but what about the Republicans kicking 20 million people off of Obamacare subsidies, right? This is exactly what the Democrats have been talking about for 40 plus days ad nauseum. What about all those people that the Republicans are going to kick off of Obamacare? And Fetterman absolutely shocked this obviously left-wing interviewer by pushing back and saying the Republicans aren't doing that. The Republicans are not doing it. It was the Democrats who did that. Democrats designed those tax credits to expire at the end of this year. That's the Democrat Party's fault. That's not the Republican Party's fault. When Biden was in office and the Democrats had both the House and the Senate, they extended Obamacare subsidies to tens of millions of more people. But they, not the Republicans, the Democrats, put in an expiration date of December 31st, 2025. It's the Democrats who took that subsidy away, not the Republicans. Republicans, frankly, have nothing to do with it. Gang, that was it. That wasn't Thune. That wasn't Ted Cruz. That wasn't Mike Johnson. Gang, that was a Democrat. John Fetterman. There was more honesty and integrity in that single response than Ana Navarro has had in the entirety of her sad and pathetic, inconsequential life. John Fetterman tells the truth while Ana Navarro wakes up every morning and asks, how can I gaslight the American? How can I lie over and over again today? And Scott Jennings just called her out on it. So nothing's working. The shutdown isn't working. The gaslighting isn't working. The party's coming apart. So now the Democrats are trying something even more desperate. And it's already blowing up in their face. Wait until you see this. But first, gang, I just found out something wild about coffee. I love coffee. I can't even imagine spending a day without coffee. But studies show that within just over an hour, regular coffee made people's arteries actually go rock hard, like copper pipes. And when your arteries harden, you can't do the things that you used to do, like mountain biking, running, pickleball. You got to soften them up. You want them pliable, rubbery, youthful. And that's where NMN comes in. Scientists gave some old mice NMN for 12 weeks, and their rock-hard arteries became elastic again. It was a 60% reversal. Gang, not better, reversed. It's like 60-year-old arteries becoming 25 again. And now you can have the best of both. Introducing the world's first longevity coffee, the only coffee that doesn't wreck your arteries. Instead, it helps them relax. It boosts nitric oxide, keeps you feeling young from the very first sip. It starts with NMN, the same molecule shown to restore arterial elasticity and reverse age-related stiffness. But it doesn't just stop there. You actually get a 10-in-1 supplement formula. You could buy all these separately, fill your counter with bottles and spend hundreds every month. Or you could just drink this longevity coffee. Delicious mocha roast packed with NMN, TMG, magnesium, D3, K2, and more, all in one scoop. Real coffee, real science. One cup that makes your body younger from the inside out. And listen, this is the launch day deal. It's only available for the next 48 hours, and it's the lowest price you ever see. But after November 15th, this deal is gone for good. Click the link below and grab your 48-hour launch special and start drinking coffee that's actually good for you. Click on that link below right now. If you want to know what an abysmal failure and defeat this was for the Democrats, you need look no further than the fact of, guess who's back in the news? Who are the Democrats once again digging up from the dead just in time to cover up their colossal defeat? Of course, it's none other than Jeffrey Epstein. That's right. Jeffrey Epstein. Now we'll get Trump. This is the smoking gun that'll finally bring this pedo down. I mean, it's so pathetically predictable. And even the White House is calling it out as nothing more than a blatantly desperate attempt at stealing the headlines away from this brutal, and I mean utterly brutal defeat for the Democrats. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, they all know Democrats have egg on their face about this government shutdown, so they're trying to psyop their low information viewer masses by focusing on Epstein disinformation instead. So they cherry-picked a few emails that make this ridiculously vague association between Trump and Epstein. And then, of course, all the legacy media outlets run with it to cover up this total shutdown humiliation. And so, to their credit, in response, the Republicans just dropped 20,000 Epstein emails. Again, this is Democrat desperation that only ends up once again backfiring spectacularly. So originally what the Democrats did is they made public a few emails included in a 2011 exchange between Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell that described Trump as the dog that hasn't barked yet, referencing a victim who spent time with Trump at Epstein's house. The redacted victim was Virginia Giuffre, who unfortunately just took her own life. And they deliberately, the Democrats, blotted out her name from the emails because she had previously testified under oath that Trump never engaged in any wrongdoing, never acted inappropriately with her, and that she never saw Trump and Epstein together or at Epstein's homes. And so Republicans on the House Oversight Committee responded to those cherry-picked emails by releasing all 20,000 documents from Epstein's estate, providing complete transparency and context. And Democrats were livid. They actually complained that the volume of all of these documents was meant to distract from their selective revelations. I mean, seriously, the irony in all of this is beyond comical. Democrats cherry-picked 3 emails to create a vague, ambiguous narrative, then complain when Republicans released everything for full context. Again, it's such an obvious and desperate attempt to distract from their government shutdown failure and embarrassment. Bottom line, all throughout the shutdown, Republicans controlled the agenda and refused to budge. They made one thing crystal clear. This is the only deal on the table. It's a continuing resolution, the same continuing resolution you signed numerous times, but most recently back last spring. And it worked. The winners are the ones who walk away with the exact same offer they had on day one. The loser is the one that makes all the concessions. Trump, Thune, Johnson, they won. That's the Republican Party that wins. Democrats inflicted 40 days of pain on military members, TSA workers, air traffic controllers, law enforcement, and they got nothing in return except a bunch of anxiety and a political black eye heading into the midterms. Gang, this is what winning looks like. This is what happens when Republicans finally grow a spine and actually hold the line. If you've ever wondered how we got to this point, this woke confusion about truth, family, and morality, you need to read The Abolition of Man by C.S. Lewis. I'm leading a 7-week live book study through it with our Courageous Patriot community, and I'd love to give you a free preview. You'll get the first episode and a digital copy of the book absolutely free. Head to turley.pub/abolitionofman and check it out. Trust me on this one. You're going to love it.